Volkswagen Group, the reigning champion of the automotive world, isn't just on a roll, they're setting the world on fire. With an astonishing 10.97 million annual car sales, they're not just holding their ground, they're making Toyota Motor Corp eat their dust. But what makes Volkswagen's journey truly fascinating isn't just its sales figures, but its diverse portfolio of acquisitions. From luxury sedans to high-performance sports cars and budget-friendly vehicles to heavy-duty trucks and buses, Volkswagen has expanded its reach by adding some major players to its lineup. Have you ever wondered how this company, born under the shadow of the Nazi Party, managed to transform into the global powerhouse we see today? In 1937, the notorious Adolf Hitler, leader of the German Nazis, made a lasting and unsettling impact on the automobile industry. The original proprietors of Volkswagen were the Nazi-affiliated German Labor Front, and the company was headquartered in Wolfsburg, Germany. Adolf Hitler was deeply committed to a special endeavor: the development and mass production of an economical yet fast automobile that could be retailed for less than 1,000 Reichsmarks, approximately $140 in those times. In addition to this, he envisioned a sprawling network of controlled access motorways, known as autobahns, crisscrossing Germany. From its inception, Volkswagen has been a wellspring of controversy, and if Hitler could have foreseen the project's ultimate trajectory, he might have shelved the idea from the outset. To turn his vision into reality, Hitler sought the expertise of Ferdinand Porsche, an Austrian and German automotive maestro, to engineer the vehicle for the People's Car Company. During a Nazi rally, Hitler proclaimed that the automobile was created for the masses, aiming to meet their mobility needs and deliver happiness. His plan was for people to acquire vehicles by participating in a monthly savings stamp program. The car had to be capable of accommodating 2 adults and 3 children, meeting specific requirements including a top speed of 100 kilometers an hour. Its price target was 990 Reichsmarks, equivalent to approximately $5,000 to $6,000 in today's currency, or roughly the cost of a small motorcycle. However, shortly after the KDF wagon made its debut at the Berlin Motor Show in 1939, World War II erupted, leading to a suspension of Volkswagen's vehicle production. As a result, only a limited number of these automobiles were ever manufactured. Before Germany declared war in 1939, Ferdinand Porsche shifted his focus to developing military vehicles to support Nazi industrialization efforts. The Volkswagen Kübelwagen, a light military automobile used by the Wehrmacht and Waffen-SS, became prominent during this time. Following the war, the Allies sought to resurrect the German automobile industry, and Volkswagen was chosen as a key focal point for these efforts. However, the company's historical Nazi connections, compact size, and distinctive rounded design initially led to slower Volkswagen sales in the United States. Despite the challenges posed by the war, Volkswagen continued producing the people's car, especially for top Nazi officials. The factory faced significant difficulties as it had originally been built for civilian vehicles and lacked a sufficient workforce. To overcome this, the vast KDF complex resorted to forced labor. Volkswagen was among the first businesses to utilize Soviet hostages as forced labor, alongside German employees and migrant workers. They also employed prisoners of war, inmates of prison camps, and an increasing number of Soviet and Polish civilian forced laborers known as Eastern workers. The first prison camp, Arbeitsdorf, was established on the factory grounds in CDF City. Forced workers made up around 60% of the workforce. The company actively sought forced labor from the concentration camp system. In a grim example, during a visit to Auschwitz in 1944, a Volkswagen plant engineer handpicked 300 skilled metal workers from shipments of Hungarian Jews. Additionally, 650 Jewish women were relocated to produce military ammunition. The Volkswagen plant in Nazi concentration camps formalized their partnership when the Fallersleben site was designated as a subcamp. In total, there were 4 concentration camps and 8 forced labor camps at the Volkswagen facility. The rest of the workforce consisted of forced civilian employees, with over 4,800 individuals, half of them women, classified as Eastern workers by May 1944. Many of these employees had been forcibly exiled from their homes to assist the Reich in a time of acute need. During this period, a severe shortage of manpower affected both the manufacturing and agricultural sectors, subjecting Volkswagen employees to hazardous conditions akin to those endured by prisoners of war from the Soviet Union and concentration camps. Over 15,000 individuals from concentration camps were forced to work at Volkswagen to produce their vehicles. Volkswagen even went so far as to construct the Ravensbrück concentration camp near one of its facilities to house a workforce of highly skilled prisoners. The treatment of the children born to Eastern laborers working at the complex was particularly deplorable. Before 1943, if female Eastern workers became pregnant or fell ill for more than 3 weeks, they were often repatriated to their home countries. However, this approach changed as the war progressed, primarily due to the advancing Soviet army and the urgent need for all available resources to support the retreating German forces. German administrators began establishing the first nursery facilities for the children of foreign employees. Ostensibly, these facilities were meant to provide a place for female Eastern workers to give birth and receive postpartum care. In reality, their primary purpose was to ensure that expectant workers could return to their jobs as soon as possible, without the burden of caring for their infants. Unfortunately, the welfare of these children held little importance to labor leaders, and many of these facilities had shockingly high mortality rates. Infants often perished due to malnutrition, mistreatment, and a lack of medical attention. In February 1943, Volkswagen executives established their facility within the barracks of what was known as the Eastern Camp. Dr. Hans Korbel, the head of Volkswagen's medical facilities and the plant physician, took charge of the maternity ward at the children's home. The children were later relocated to a similar facility in the nearby town of Ruhen, where the mortality rate reached a shocking 100%. It's estimated that 365 young children, the offspring of female Eastern laborers employed by Volkswagen, tragically lost their lives in Ruhen. In 1947, Dr. Korbel was executed by British occupation authorities, receiving a death sentence for criminal negligence in the Ruhen baby famine case. As the Allies approached and the German staff fled the Fallersleben complex, some captives were evacuated. The remaining captives eventually broke free from the Volkswagen compound, pillaging the adjacent town and confronting the harsh manufacturing crew. Major Ivan Hurst, a British Army commander and engineer, assumed control of the Volkswagen factory after the war. Approximately 7,700 workers at the Volkswagen plant who had been compelled to assemble military vehicles were finally liberated. Air raids had substantially destroyed the plant, marking the end of military vehicle production, with the production of 285 Kubelwagen automobiles throughout the war. Volkswagen's dark chapter came to an end. It marked the inception of an extraordinary journey that transformed the company into a major producer of cutting-edge vehicles for the general public. Upon the arrival of Allied troops at the bomb-damaged plant, around 50 completed Kubelwagens were earmarked for the German army. Subsequently, the British repurposed the assembly line to manufacture the Volkswagen Type 1 Beetle, famously known as the People's Car. The design and construction of this iconic vehicle resumed to support the Allied effort. In the ensuing years, Volkswagen outperformed all other automobile imports in terms of sales in Germany. Meanwhile, the Model T, often hailed as the vehicle that put the world on wheels, revolutionized the automotive industry and American society by providing reliable and affordable transportation to the common citizen. A dozen years later, the Volkswagen Beetle surpassed the Model T's record by producing over 15 million vehicles globally between 1908 and 1927. In 1960, Volkswagen underwent denationalization when the German government sold 60% of the company's equity to the general public. Regardless of personal sentiments towards Volkswagen, the company continues to thrive in the business of manufacturing automobiles. Although Hitler's plan fell short of relieving the poverty in Germany, it did contribute to financing Nazi Germany's war machine. Today, Volkswagen has evolved into a leading producer of electric vehicles that are widely used across the globe.